So hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sanskar and today we will learn how to create this memory game app. So basically how this app works is we will be shown with all these images of different animals, and yeah, as you may already understand, we just have to match different images. So for example, I was not watching, but if we selected wrong, then it will be auto hided. But if we selected the same, it will be a point. Okay, so the demo is done. Now time to make it. So firstly, I will create a new project. I'll say Flutter create memory game 2. It will get it built and I'm going to open it up. So I'll go file, open, to open. Okay, so first and foremost, let me make the size of it good enough. I think it's fine now. I don't know, guys, like the screen size is the thing problem. So okay, so first thing first, what you have to do, you have to get it all this boilerplate code. We don't require this, just keep this. And now I'm going to create a stateful widget. I'm going to call it home, and let's call it home page. Copy, paste, get rid of this. Okay, so these things is done. So basically we have a container. So first of all, let's understand what is happening in this game. So we have all these. So this is actually a grid view. We have a text and a text. So this is a column and it is in the center. So basically what I did, I used a property which is called cross axis alignment dot center. So it is in the center. This is a grid view consisting of different tiles. This particular one element is a widget, which is kind of an element, and we are providing it the values and so on. So that's how it is working. So we can match, and you can see, like for example, if I select one, and for that time I will not be able to click on others. Once that is done, then I can. Okay, so that's how it is working. So now the time is, let me get rid of the test, delete. We will come to the library, create a new module. We can call it a package, and that's going to be data. And we need one more, that is going to be models. Okay, so before that, let me make the basic structure for the app. Hopefully the text size is hopefully fine, so please do share your feedback in the comments. I will be more than happy. And if we go for the scaffold, what we want is body, and inside the body we will have a container. I usually start with a container, while we can directly go with a column, but it just provides you different properties like padding, margin, which are very essential. So now if we go for column, inside the column we can see these are two actually. The first is a column and this is a grid view, while we can directly provide these. So let me do it this way. I will say text. Okay, we first need children's, no hurry. We will say text. Inside that we will say 0 slash 800, which is going to be the maximum. Then we will say text, it's going to be points. Okay, next up we have this. So this is a grid view, and you can notice there is a space between them. So I will say sized box height, I think this is around 20. We can play with it later on, that's not a problem. Okay, so we have sized box. Now we need a grid view. So I'll say grid view. Inside that grid view we have different properties like shrink wrap, because we're using it inside the column. So shrink wrap, we can use other properties, which is very important, which is like grid delegate. We are going to use sliver grid delegate with it's going to be max cross extent. This is the one or that? Okay, and inside that we are going to pass two things. The first is spacing, so that is going to be main axis spacing, that is around 0.0. And then we have max cross extent, so that is around 100. Okay, seems fine right now. we are not 100% sure, but yeah. Moving on now, what we want that tile to be built right now. Okay, stateful, we will say tile. Okay, and this is tile. Okay, so in the tile, what we can see, we have this, kind of an image view, and it have some margin around it, and that's all what we have. There is nothing more than that. So I'm going to go inside the child. I'll say child, and we have an image view, image.asset. Okay, now what we need to understand is these images are not kind of fixed, they are going to be changed. So this should be a stateful widget. That's why I have selected that to be stateful widget. Now we are going to get some values from here, which will be passed on to this tile, which will be used. So what will be the values? So the first thing which we need, of course, is the image asset path. Okay, what more we need? That is one, and second thing is we also want to know if it is selected or not. So what is that? Basically this one is selected, so if I click on it, it's not working, but if I click on this, it's changing. So that is one property which we want it is to be selected or not. And we want one property which is, I believe, parent. So I'll use home page state, and I'm going to call it parent. I hope that is fine. Okay, now we will go tile, and we will say this dot image asset path, this dot selected, this dot parent. Okay, now we are able, for example, the tile is like ready to take these values. Let me assign these as well, image asset path. Okay, we have to type widget. Whenever we are using a stateful widget, to use these we have to first type widget, then we will say image asset path. Okay, so we are assigning these values as well. Just let me give one thing as well, margin agentsets dot all 5. Okay, so we are getting the value, the tile is ready to get the values, is able to set them as well. We have some click listeners to be like on tap functionalities to be provided, but what we also want, the data means what are we going to like give these image asset path, like where is that? So that's why we created that, this one data. In that we will have a file which is going to name, like, let's call it data. So inside the data, before creating the data, actually we can understand that in this one, in this tile, we have these two properties, which is image asset path and selected. So before actually getting the data or creating the data, we should create a model for it. So I'm going to call this model, let's call it tile model. Okay, so tile model. Inside tile model we will have a class, I'll call it tile model, and inside that we need two properties. So it's going to be image asset path, and we need to have a boolean which is selected. Let's call it is selected. I hope that's fine. Yeah. Okay, now we talk about tile, that we will going to say this dot image asset path, this, sorry, this dot, okay, sorry, size. Oh my god, I usually like forget this a lot, so please make sure to share your feedback if you feel that's quite small or something. Yeah, so we have the constructor as well ready to go. We have the values. Now let's create some getter and setter methods. The reason why we are creating the getter and setter methods is basically we will be setting the data in the this file, and we will be getting the data in this file. Okay, so let's get started with that. So first of all, we will create a setter method. So setter method does not require any return. That's why we are going to use a void, and we will say set image asset path. Okay, and inside that we are going to take a string. Let me name it get image asset path. Okay, this is basically a variable, so you can name it anything. Okay, now what I'm going to say, image asset path is equals to get image asset path. Similarly, we will create for is selected as well, void set is selected, and I'm going to say string. Okay, sorry, this is going to be boolean, right? So boolean, and we'll say get is selected. After that we will say is selected. Okay, selected is equals to get is selected. Okay, so these were the setter methods, so they don't require any written value. But now we are going to create a getter method, so that will be returning a value. So we will say get image asset path. Inside that, we are not going to take any values. We are returning the values actually. So we will say return image asset path. Hope you got it. If any doubts, please feel free to comment. Um, I will be more than happy to help. And get is selected. Okay, and we will say return, and yeah, it's selected. Done. Any problem? Okay, this is going to be bool. Done. Moving on to the data file. Increase that. I don't know how much size it is. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to create a function which is going to be returning a list of tile model. It's quite big, I'm not sure. Okay, we will say get. What is this going to be? So what we need is these tiles, or um, we can call it anything you want. For example, I'm going to call it um, get pairs, because these are like pair images, so we will say get pairs. Tile is not imported, so I'm gonna, okay, it's not import tile model, we should call it. Okay, now if I import, okay, it's imported. I don't know guys, like for me the text size is quite large. But hopefully it's good for you. Anyways, tile model, then we will say list tile model, and just call it pairs. New list. What am I doing right now? Why am I creating a new list? So let me do it first, and then it will be more easier to explain. Then we will going to have a tile model. Tile model is equals to new tile model. Done. Okay, one thing first. So we have a list and we have a tile model. So what I'm going to do right now is basically saying tile model dot set image asset path. So right now we don't have the images. I'm going to take that from my last project, assets 10 10 copy. So basically, first of all, we have to create a new directory. We'll say assets, and then we should paste, go to perpspec.yaml. Let me increase the size. Fine. Okay, scroll down 44 line number and just type it out, assets slash. So this will allow us to access all the images inside that folder. Okay, then just click on packages.get. Done. So now what we will say, assets slash one by one every name. So we're not going to use correct and question, that is after. We will use fox, for example, fox.png. Yeah. Okay, now we will say tile model dot set is selected false. So initially all of these are going to be not selected. Okay, now then I'm going to say pairs dot add tile model. Now as you understand, we are going to have the same to be like 2 times, right? So what I'm going to do for that is going to pairs dot add model, and again then we are going to freshen up our tile model to be a new, and we are ready to add the values again. So I'm just going to copy this, paste. This is the second, so we need around 8 for this. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Okay, now we should update these as well. So the selected will be false for all, but this will be updated. So we'll say this and this, just pasting up the names and all. Monkey, panda, parrot. Do comment what is your favorite animals among these. Question, no, we're not going to use question, we're going to rabbit, zoo. By the way, zoo is this elephant. I am not the one who renamed it. Just to be clear. By the way, yeah, for the images, I downloaded them from flaticon.com. Very good website. Always recommended. So yeah, our this data is done. Now, as I was saying, we will get it. When are we going to get it? When our app starts. So this is the one which is going to be called. In this, we are going to use a property called init. And in the init property, what we are going to do, first of all, we need that list. So we'll say list tile model, and we will say pairs is equals new list tile model. Okay, and just these. Let me import these as well. So imported. After that, this is misspelled, so this is fine. Now what we will do, we will say pairs, and pairs equals to get pairs. So now you like hopefully understand what we are doing, that we are like doing all this data. And one thing which I always like, this is like always forget, so yeah, we have to return the pairs. Okay, we are, this is a list kind of. Okay, so now we are getting all these pairs here, and we will be setting that over in this tile. Okay, so just a second. Yeah, now we have to set these to grid view. So how we are going to do that, we are going to have return, oh sorry, children, I believe, child. What we can have children, I think. Yeah, list dot generate. This is going to take two things. The first is going to be length. So length, we are using pairs length. Okay, no, now the one thing which you should understand, we can directly use this, but we don't want to manipulate it. Why? Because I don't want, when I'm just like selecting these, and we are, we are setting the question marks and all, because of that this must not be updated, because we have a pure thing which like these should be random values. Right now, if I will, for example, let me show you, if we directly give this length. So for example, I say pairs dot length, and generator is basically index, and that, then we will say return tile, and now we are going to take the value. So right now, just let me just go for pairs, Paris, not Paris, PAI, and we will say index dot get image asset path. Okay, now one thing which is, these are named parameters, so I'm just gonna cut this image asset path, and that after that we will say what, selected. So selected, we will say pairs index get is selected, and then I'll say parent and this. Okay, so it is saying bool can't be assigned to string. Cut this, say bool, done. Okay, so the problem which I was mentioning is that I think first of all it should be working. Yeah, we will be doing one thing, because right now let me show you that it will, what will happen is we are directly assigning these one by one. So we have firstly fox, then we have hippo, then we have horse. So what will happen, fox, horse, sorry, hippo, horse, but we want these to be random. The thing is, it's just one line thing. So what we can do, basically type pairs dot shuffle, and done. It's going to be randomized. Now we have one error over here. Let me fix that quick. Semicolon. Like this is the biggest thing for like programmers. Like there should be something that could check all these semicolons at least. Anyways, um, just give me a second. It should load. I know guys, like this video is going to take a bit more longer because it's not very simple app. It have some things to be learned. So yeah. Meanwhile, when it's doing, let me explain you what is going to be the process. So what I'm going to do, we have this list right now, but what I will do, I will create one more list, and that list will be the one which will be storing the values which are shown over here. So what we will do, as you can see when the app starts, so Now you can see these are shuffled. If I comment this and come back over here and restart it, you can see these are arranged very properly. First fox and then hippo, then horse. But if I use this functions, they are going to be shuffled up, and that is what we want. We don't want that to be sequence in a sequence, right? Okay, so that is done. What I was saying is, what I want is these like they will be shown, but when we initially start, all these will be shown, but after just 5 seconds, which I have, it will be shown a question mark over that place, right? So how we are going to do that? We are going to create one more list. So how I'm going to do that, I'm just going to copy all this and just paste it. Sorry, just after that I'm going to paste it, and we will say get questions. So questions. Okay, and in this, what we will do, we are not going to set these different tiles. We're just going to set these to question, and it's very straightforward question. So I'm just going to type it question. By the way, guys, like if you have any other suggestion of the things how I'm doing it, it can be better. um, as always, this project is going to be on GitHub, so you can like pull request and something like that, or you can at least comment, like please share your feedback. By no means I'm saying I'm the perfect and this is the best way to, or something like that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have created that. That is going to just return a list of questions. So let me create a list for that. Now the list which I'm creating, it is going to be the list which is going to store the values which are shown right now. So we can call it something like visible here. So something like that. Okay, we will say is equals to new list. We are going to say tile model, something like that, tile model, and yeah, it's done. So visible. Okay, visible pairs. So what I will do, I will shuffle them, then I will visible pairs will store the values of pairs. Got it? And I'm just gonna update these. Okay, and what will happen, I want a delay here. So how we use delay, we will say future dot delay. It's right over there. It will take duration, sorry, duration, it's going to be in seconds, 5 to be exact, and I think that's done. Anything problem? Function can't be named. Is it new? Map can be assigned to future or dynamic function. Okay, what are the things it takes? It takes one dot, so that's going to be duration. Okay. And I'm very clear about duration, but there is some error happening, so I'm gonna say seconds and 5. We'll get back to this. Okay, so what we want after 5 seconds to happen. Okay, I think this is the issue which happens. No. Okay, so after that particular time, what I want that these visible pairs should be updated with question marks. I'll say get questions, and it is showing an error. Just give me a second. Let me just confirm it a bit quick. What is the issue we are doing? So it should be constant and two values parameters. Okay, so what we will do, we will cut the duration and have it like that. We'll say constant duration and like that, so it's done. Okay, so we have a future dot delayed const duration that. So if I go to run and restart it again, of course, like we should open up this app rather than from the bottom up. This is not the one, this is the one. I have too many apps open, so I'm just going to close them. Okay, this is the one. So it's syncing. Now you can see these are shown, but after 5 seconds, which we provided here, it should be converted to question marks. If it is not, then there is a question mark in what we did. So I think 5 seconds are done, aren't it? Okay. Okay. Set state. So if I reload it, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Okay. So it's working perfectly fine. We are changing these to question marks. Marks. Question mark. I think that's, yeah, correct way to spell or something. So in the container, we also want some padding in it. So I'm going to say padding edge insets dot. It's going to be symmetric because we want different of vertical. So vertically we want around 50, horizontally we want around 20. Good, good, good. It's looking fine. Now I'm going to give some styling. I know I'm putting style ahead of what should we do first, but it should look good. Oh my god. Font size it should be. And it's going to be font weight around. That's good. Great. Mm-hmm. And we need some sized box. It's quite at the top. We want a bit of space, and points is fine. We can just make it something like 24. Okay, so yeah, this is fine, but this is 0. We don't want to show 0 all the time. The user must enjoy it. So we will have something like int, and I will say points, which is going to be 0 initially, and I'm going to. Now the reason why I'm defining this points over here, rather than just defining it somewhere like this place something, the reason is I want to be able to access that through this stateful widget, because when user will click on this and the pair match, it should be increased by 100. So that's what we are doing. So yeah, that was the reason why I'm like declaring it there, so we can just use it here and everywhere. um, I think we don't even require any kind of uh, import or something, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, data is already imported, so maybe through that. But anyways, so yeah, we have the points now. So the point is being loaded from there. Now what we want to give this a click. Let's know nothing is happening if we are clicking on it. So we want to make it able to be clicked. So I'll say on tap. What do we want on tap? So the first thing which we want to make sure is when we are showing it, because there are occasions when we don't want this to be clickable. For example, when we initially started the app, okay, so when we initially started, we don't want them to be clicking this, right? We don't want them to be selecting it right off the bat. So for that, we should have kind of a boolean value which should decide should we allow them to click or not. So I'm going to just name it selected, which means that they are selected and we should not allow the click. So initially that will be false. Okay, so and we will be allowing the click only if it is false. So we're going to name that selected. Guys, some things can get a little bit kind of complicated. It's not very complicated, but kind of. So if you have any doubts, comment. Believe me, like, I'll be giving instant reply. Anyways, so yeah, we have selected. We have said that if it is not selected, then only allow the click. But initially it is like false, so it will be clickable. That's not what we want. So what we will do, we will come at this place where we declared the future and stuff. What we will do, we will firstly initially say, when it just got like these values, we will say selected equals to true, so not allowed to click. Yeah, and we don't need to have a set state for this because it's kind of fixed value and stuff. Hope so. I'm not sure. Like we will say see again. So we will say selected is equals to false. Once like this is done, then we can basically make it false. Like you can click now, and when we click on it, just to see, maybe let me just restart it now, and we are going to have, sorry, just let me add one thing, which is going to be a print, and it is going to say you clicked me. Okay, and I'm gonna restart it. 1 2 3 4 5, boom. Okay, I was fast, but yeah. So now if I click on anything, you can see it's saying you clicked me. But if I click when it is initially showing, so for example, if I, believe me guys, I'm clicking it. Okay, so it's not working, but after some time it's working. So that was the purpose of using selecting. Okay, so what is the next thing? So next, what we want is, we want, when we click on it, it should show what is behind the curtain. So for that, what we will do, we have the selected property, right? So initially that is selected to be false. So what we can do, if the selected, sorry, we can say widget dot selected, if it is false. Okay, so if this particular widget dot selected is false, which it is initially, we will directly show what is in the asset path, which we are providing a question mark. We understand that. But if it's not, what we will do, we can close this. Yeah, what we will do, if it's not what it's not, it's not false, if it's true basically, which we will do when he will click on it, what we want to show, we want to show the image of that animal. So where is it? It is stored in the pairs. So where is the pairs? Here's the pairs. Now one thing is important, we want to access this pairs from that. So we will not be able to do that. So what I will do, I will just cut this and paste it here, so that we can access it from here. And I'll say pairs, pairs. Okay, and one thing, we are getting the selected, right? We also want the index. Why? Because I'm not sure where are you clicking, means from the pairs we have these 16 values, but we want to show the exact one according to the type. So what we do for that is, we are going to just declare one integer in this, which is going to be an index. Let's name it tile index, and we are going to get this. So this dot tile index, these are named parameters. If you just get rid of these curly braces, you can directly get the values without even saying this. Okay, now we'll say tile index, and we will say index. Done. Now what we will do, we will go to the pairs and we will say index. Uh-oh, we're going to use tile index. Okay, again a mistake. Widget or tile index. Now happy. Now we don't want to directly show this, we want to get the image asset path, but it doesn't make sense over here, because we are giving, or you should say, we are providing a child and it's a value, it's a string. So what we are going to do, we are going to say, you know what, let me do it this way. We should put it at this place, because it's a string, and we will have the condition over here. Makes perfect sense, and let me make it more perfect sense for you. Okay, now hopefully everything is visible. So what I did is, I placed this conditional operator, that if widget dot selected, which is basically selected, we are using widget because we are calling it from in a stateful widget. So we are asking, is it true or false? So if it is true, then we are showing that already image. So we want to change this. So let me flip this actually, because we want to show this if it's true, and this if it is false. Got it? So if this is um, true, then we are going to show the true image which is behind the curtain. And if it's false, we are going to show whatever it is. And when we click on it, we are going to set this. So I'm going to say set state, and what is it gonna be? Actually, you know what, we don't want this selected to be updated, and we don't need this, because you can understand, we have defined this selected over here, selected over here, so we can access it directly. Hopefully some errors are there. Correct. Yeah, because so we don't need that to be, get this values, because we already have it accessible. Get rid of this. In some case, guys, I think I become fast because I don't want to like take a lot of time, but I just want to make sure that I explain everything very properly. Okay, so we have selected now. Okay, so next, what next? We want to set that selected to be true. So I'll say selected equals to true. Okay, so once we will do that, guys, you know what? If I will use this, it's not the correct thing. What I should do, I should use pairs and widget dot tile index. Sorry, this is the wrong way. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting like the particular selected of each pair, you can say. Get is selected. Okay, that is going to be false initially. Now if we click on that particular element, I'm going to say pairs that equals to dot rather than get, we are going to say set to true. Hopefully you got it, get it. Okay, we have an error. Invalid value range is empty. 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, so what is the problem over here? We have the widget tile. We have, so it is saying that relevant error occurring, the following was thrown. Invalid value range, that is what it is saying. Are we passing up the index? Yes, we are. Are we using the index? Yes, we are. Is there anything which we should be? I think I did made this error before as well. It is saying, it is saying 0 1 invalid valid value range is empty 1. Okay. Value range is empty. Okay, let me fix this and I'll be back.